Hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm good.
Oh, let me start the camera. Like this, I think. Yes.
Hi,
What's up?
I'm good. I really tried to struggle with setting up sound to work, but you can hear me.
Yes, let me just do this little sound check. Just
Yeah,
balance between your volume and my volume on the recording.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Good.
So
So,
your name is
uh,
Olle. Am I pronouncing it right?
yeah, it's Olle.
Olle.
Yeah, it's Olle. So, you can still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I changed now. I found this setting on the computer where you can listen to the sound that's going into the sound card. So what I've been trying now. So I have an external mic preamp. So I'm running that one into a compressor, and that sound is then going out to the USB sound card.
Okay.
And I think lots of problem has been with the sound card. So I would like. I mean, the best might to be to have a mixer. I guess you have a mixer or something.
Yeah, I have a mixer. I have two external sound cards. I use two computers, and I still have
Right.
tons of technical problems every week when I do my live podcast because it's insane how difficult it is just to have something as simple as like a show on the internet where you're taking
Yeah.
calls and you're live. I mean, it's easy
All
to have
right.
a podcast where you just record offline,
Yeah.
then you want to
Yeah.
have it live.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
have
I
it
mean,
live, and you want to have guests. Then it's like
right.
insane.
Did you ever watch the Atheist Experience?
No.
So the Atheist Experience is a show that has been running for probably more than 10 years in Houston, I think, in Texas. So it's kind of a show that is run by volunteers. Basically, so the most well-known person from that show is probably Matt Dillahunty. So he's a really nice guy that is one of the most kind of, how to say it, the person I know of that has most thought out ideas about what he's talking about. So he's talking about atheism and philosophy and yeah. The way he is thinking about stuff is really good, I think, really thorough and thought through.
The atheist experience.
So it used to be a show that they were running it, I think, on like the TV network in their area, like a local TV station. And now it's like a pod version of it. So they have they broadcast it live, and you people can call in, anyone, mostly religious people, or at least they encourage religious people to call in and talk about why they believe in God or whatever. And they have I think kind of a nice setup that I think Matt Dillahunty actually showed this setup in one of the episodes. Because it's lots of stuff they have, because they have like two people that are in the studio. They have one room with for the audience. They can sit outside. They have like several cameras. They have, it's getting quite big, quite fast, I think.
Yeah.
So tell me about you have kind of a podcast.
Well, it's been longer than a year now that I'm doing the podcast steady every weekend, Friday, 4 afternoon for 1 hour. Usually I do it for a little bit more than an hour. It's about anarchy. It's about establishing a free society, a society without government, without a state. The show is called The No State Project, and it's basically the local branch of the No State Project, the global one, which is a radio show by a guy named Mark Stevens. He's an author. He wrote 2 books. One he wrote like many years ago, like I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. It's called Adventures in Legal Land, where he basically describes his adventures in the court system, trying to fight illegitimate government bureaucratic attacks, where the government is just trying to extract money and obedience, and doesn't know where the limits, let's say, have to be. I mean, we grow up with the belief that the government is here for us, and it's here to take care of us, and politicians are these noble people trying to just do good, and they're supposed to have some kind of a limit, some kind of boundaries between what is allowed for them to do and not, and they seem to not recognize it everywhere you go around the world. So he started by trying to fight them in court, and it was like the rabbit hole there, where he discovered more and more about the reality of the law and government, and that's where he started. And he recently, like 2 years ago, he published another book called Government Indicted, where it's like a big indictment to the idea of government, not just to the establishment, not just to the institution of government, but to the idea of government, against the idea of government. So I'm doing the local project in Israel, where I share people with my thoughts and invite them to the conversation, and I also facilitate the activism of all sorts, especially helping people to deal with legal attacks, where they get where it's like parking tickets. It starts from parking tickets and traffic tickets. It's where we all get hit by a government, and it can be tax authorities and the drug war. I have a friend now sitting over four months now in arrest, waiting for to be sentenced for growing plants. So that sort of stuff.
Right.
All sorts of illegal, victimless crimes. All sorts of victimless crimes.
Yeah. So when you say victimless crimes, is it like victimless in the how many steps back or forth do you calculate when you say victimless? If you would think about moral philosophy and utilitarianism, how many steps in the future would you have to think that could happen before you can say that it's absolutely certain that there is no other person that could suffer from the act?
Well, basically I stick with the facts and with reasoning. So I understand where you're going. You say, well, if I drive without lights, we were talking about crimes or violations of law that are called or regarded as they're called strict liability. It's like when you drive without lights in the middle of the highway. So there's a very big risk that someone is going to fatally get injured because what you do, although it's not over 50% risk. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can drive without lights for 2 minutes and open my eyes and, be in control of the thing. And it's still, the chance that the risk is very low relatively. It's not 50% and over. It's probably less than 1%, but you'd still say, I don't want people to do it. I don't want people to drive drunk and without lights in the middle of the highway.
So you would basically say trying to estimate the chances of an act.
No, I would look at the result, not at the actual result, not on the possibility, basically. So if someone is really insisting on driving against traffic or in the middle of the night without lights and is putting people at risk, you can do whatever you need to in order to remove the risk, right? But you cannot turn that person into a slave and hold him in your cellar or tell him, now you have to work for me, now you're my slave, and so on and so forth. So, you can remove the risk if there is a risk, and that's it. So, now if the guy repeats every time you release him, he goes back and drives without light against the traffic, then, there's a problem you need to sort, But
you are kind of thinking, let me see if I have if I understand this. If you do something that doesn't hurt anyone else, it shouldn't be a problem for anyone else.
And it's also not a crime.
Even if there is let's say, even if there could be a risk of that act resulting in something bad, but it didn't. It shouldn't be. It should be allowed.
Well, anything we do can result in certain, me sitting here having this conversation can result in something terrible happening, right? In some far-fetched hypothetical situation, it could have. But when are we allowed to violate someone's life, liberty, or property? I say only in one case while protecting our or someone else's life, liberty, or property. There is no excuse to do it. If you violate someone's life, liberty, or property, you're a criminal. Unless you're doing it in order to save someone else's life, liberty, and property, and you can definitely prove that that was the case. Now, if you can't prove that was the case, you say, well, if you would chop off those plants and sell to kids and they will get addicted and something bad will happen, that you can't really prove it. Not prove it, just hypothetical in some imaginary world. If this would happen, then it would be risky. Okay,
but how? But then aren't you kind of already there, starting to draw lines that are not very strict, but can be applied kind of arbitrary? I'm thinking about an example. So let's say that I strap let's say 20 kilos of explosives on my or something on my body here in Sweden.
Yeah.
And I have no intent of blowing myself up or using it.
Mm-hmm.
Should I be allowed to walk the streets?
Very interesting question.
This was I just came up with this now.
I understand. But all those sort of things, it's what's called in philosophy, it's called the lifeboat scenario.
Okay.
You heard it? You know the term? You're familiar with it? Lifeboat scenario? You can probably understand. It's very self-descriptive.
So run through it, please.
Well, we have 3 people on the boat, and they escaped the sinking ship. Everybody else died, but one person. And there are 3 people on the boat, and one of them thinks he saw there's another survivor somewhere, and he probably can float for 6 hours. And they see an island far, far away, and they're very tired, so they can either row towards the island and leave the possible survivor to die on his own, or they can stay there and look for him and maybe get drifted away, and then they risk their own life. So should they do this or should they do that? That's an example for a lifeboat scenario question, dilemma. And the thing about lifeboat dilemmas is that while they're very amusing, they're not really useful in order to establish moral and general principles to live by day to day. they're good for those specific scenarios, but you can't extract principles to live by from them. You have to take the general case in order to extract principle. Like, is theft, is rape good or bad? Is theft good or bad? I had a discussion with some girl from the Israeli atheist group in Facebook. The group is called We're Atheists, Pleased to Meet You, something like that. And they're very not, how to say, they're not really representing, I think, atheists really good. They're just there are a bunch of people who are, in a very shallow way, proud of being an atheist. Anyhow, we had a discussion, and she said that that rape isn't by itself a bad thing, because what if you're like the last person on earth, she's the last person on earth, then, you know, if she doesn't want to have sex with you, so if you rape that woman in that special situation, then rape is good, it saves humanity. So rape by itself is not good or bad. And when you try to define moral principles using a lifeboat scenario, you're not ending up with principles. You're just ending up with things that are correct for that scenario. But if you want to discuss morality, you have to establish principles. When you have
I think that that's a hard problem with that scenario there. If you would start to think about all possible humans that might come into existence, or the suffering of that person.
It doesn't matter. We don't have to really solve this dilemma, and even if we solve the answer, we give like the most correct answer, it fits only that situation, these circumstances, and it doesn't tell us anything about life day to day, our life situations. So,
I think this is something that some people apply every day, like in hospitals, for example. Hospital ethics. Also, other people that might have to spend time thinking about this are people in the military that constantly they are like, let's say that you are sending out a group of 20 special soldiers to rescue a hostage. So you're sending out 20 people to possibly save one person.
Okay.
In that case, maybe we are off track now. But let's run that scenario. Let's say that you are a general, or I don't know, someone that is deciding, should we send our best 20 troopers from this squad or whatever to into this hostage situation? We have one civilian person in this house, and there is of course a risk that we will have casualties, the hostage and the soldiers, that will be far more exceeding one life. In that case, how would you act?
Well, first,
because this is kind of situations that happens on a daily basis.
Happens to who? How many people?
Like in the military.
How many times? How many people are involved in such situations?
Well,
an estimation, a rough estimation. You don't have to be, it's not about 20 or 60. It's about, is it around 20, 60, dozens, or is it around millions? Because, morality applies to 8 billion people.
Right.
Like
so
general cases of like, is murder right? Is theft okay? It applies to 8 billion people, like the general case. They have to abide just by moral principles. And
but then the question is like, how do you decide if you can switch one life to another life? In this case, Because it's hardly ever that easy, I think, for people that have to take those kind of decisions. Are we invading Normandy or not? Yes, we are, but we will lose thousands of men for rescuing Europe. For example, we know that we will lose thousands of men in one day. But the outcome will hopefully be good.
Well, so you say it's not a lifeboat scenario because it's about like the World War II. You give an example of World War II, and I say, well, in order to establish moral principles, you have to just take the normal day-to-day life case, and not a special incident, even if it involves dozens of thousands of people dying at one time. You still want to take a general case, not a specific time, a specific circumstances, something of real life from history. You have to take like a hypothetical situation that is common, as clean as possible from special circumstances. Man and a woman, man walks down the streets, sees a woman he likes, can he rape her or not, without any special circumstances? Then the answer is no. Then we know that the general principle says rape is bad, rape is a crime, and you shouldn't rape, you shouldn't initiate violence, and when you understand we shouldn't initialize violence, then you get to the principle that self-defense or defense of others as an agent of others is morally okay. And then with those tools, you can go and look into very special circumstances like war or lifeboat scenario. But without the general principle, you can't even extract an answer about more complicated scenarios.
So would you? How is your kind of epistemology about these things that you say are morally wrong? I mean, how did you come to that conclusion that rape is, for example, is wrong?
Well, first of all, I kind of like grew up on this. When you grow up in the Western civilization, you're being taught that it's your second nature. Although I gotta say that when I was in the kindergarten, I was kind of like a little bully, a little bit, and they put me in my place very fast. They told me like, no, I mean, you can fight with people who want to play, let's fight, but you can't force people, the boys and girls, to fight you if you're not, if they don't want to do this. So.
So would you say that it's
kindergarten age? Kindergarten teacher said, don't hit, don't bully, and I was like, thinking about it, like, damn, she's right. Yeah, I gotta stop it.
So you're saying that you think it's wrong because you were brought up in that way?
Well, first, yeah, I mean, and then you grow up and you see life, and you understand that when we're nice to each other, we can do the best in life. Like the world is the best like this. It's the best for everybody. It's the right way. It's the good thing, and it makes sense. And later on, when I became an anarchist, I understood that wearing a uniform or a blue custom, doesn't give you a pass. It doesn't give you a permission to do things that other people are not allowed to do. And later on, I studied the moral philosophy of Stefan Molyneux, which is, but it's not a moral philosophy. What he established is a framework called UPB, Universally Preferable Behavior, which is a really simple thing, but very confusing. So it's hilarious how much easier it is, and yet it's very confusing because we're not used to really apply logics to simple things. We just take them as It's given. It's like this. And what he establishes is a framework to really evaluate moral theories. So if you say rape is bad, you can take UPB, and basically UPB is universally preferable behavior. So if you accept that there is such a thing as universally preferable behavior, then you can ask yourself, is rape a universally preferable behavior, and what are the implications if it's not? So if it's not, you can't say, well, let me do it. Don't interfere. Don't stop me. I'm just raping her. It's my business. It's my slave. I can do it. So UPB kind of like breaks it down and shows that it's okay to act in defense of someone, and you can't really say, "Oh, rape is good. Rape is okay."
So let's say that the person is there is a person that went into some very serious car accident, for example, and this person loses all consciousness. So it's basically will never have a conscious brain again. Would that make a difference in this case? Does it has anything to do with human suffering, or is this based on something else? This universal.
Well, universally preferable behavior is the most important thing about it is that it's a scientific proof for ethics. So if before you needed to point at that religion and say, oh, without religion we wouldn't know whether murder is good or bad. So you got to have religion, and then without government telling us what's good and bad, we don't know what's good and bad, and you go into chaos, and everybody gonna say like, oh, let me murder. It is a good, you can tell me what's good and bad. So when you present a scientific way, really using the scientific method to show that morality exists and is really a thing, things can be either valid or invalid. Moral propositions can be valid or invalid using this method. Then it's it has an intellectual importance, and yet, is it going to help us to convince a murderer to not do it? Like, whoa, I'm intellectually inconsistent. No, I'm going to stop. It's not going to stop criminals. And so in that sense, what matters is just like, how do we raise children? Do moral people raise moral kids to do the right thing? Or are they making sure that their hands is on top, and they're changing the world and not letting the bad people make more and more children and take over the world? Eventually, this is what matters. We're not going to win this war using logic. In that sense, we have logic on our side, but logic is just, if people respect logic, then they're going to accept that. But
so is this something that you have been thinking about when you are thinking about the kind of society that you are interested in like an anarchist society or anarchist community? Would this be principles that could be used?
Well, the goal is to have a society where people are kind and considerate and compassionate, and all things good and pacifist. That's wonderful. But my understanding is that even if society is as it is right now, anarchy, having no ruling class is better, because if people are generally good, then a ruling class is at best not needed, and if more people are bad, then a ruling class will be composed of bad people. So it's really bad that we have a ruling class, because they have all the power and they strip up us of power and they take advantage of that. So
what is the definition of the ruling class?
Well, ruling class are people who think that they have the right to do things that other people don't have the right to do. And the belief in a ruling class is the belief that those people really have a moral right to do things that other people don't have the right to do. So, for example, I can tell someone, stop, show me ID. Here's an ID. I'm issuing you ID so I can identify you because I don't trust you, so I want to give you a number and make you stop every time I'm asking you to stop and show me that ID that I give you. I can't do that. I cannot boss people around and act like I'm the superior here. Well, I just accept the idea that all people are equal in the moral importance, and your life is most important to you. My life is most important to me.
Have you ever any examples of places where this is kind of closer to what you are imagining, and compared to other countries where it's further away from?
Well, surely the different places, different societies have different rules, different levels of authoritarianism. My dad likes always to argue with me and bring places like not Switzerland. He likes to bring an example. What's this place called? Singapore, yeah. Yeah, he says he goes there a lot to do business, and it's like the place is clean and everything is polite and very advanced, and yet it's not like they don't have much freedom. If you throw chewing gum on the street, you go to 20 years prison. I don't like it. I wouldn't even want to visit this place.
Isn't that like a police state or like a? It's not a democracy.
Yes, but he's bringing it up as to say, like, the ruling class is benevolent. If you're a good person, then it's heaven for you because there's like jobs and business and you have the freedom to do the good things, but you're really punished severely if you do the bad things. And I'm still not supporting any kind of authoritarianism because I think the idea is just wrong. It's like saying, I'm going to be the authority on math. 2 + 2 is 3. And it's not just that it's wrong, but it's doing wrong things to people. Like putting my friend for lots of months in a cell because he was growing plants that the government... I can't say government doesn't like, but power corrupts. Yes, it makes sense, and it's been empirically proven that power corrupts.
So would you say that if he would have been growing some plant in order to kill himself, would that make a difference?
Well, I believe people have the right to do whatever they want with their life, including to kill themselves. Although I think, if you prevent someone from killing himself once, it's okay. If you just keep on preventing someone from killing himself when he wants to, it's not the best thing to do, I can't say that... Should that be
considered as a crime to prevent someone?
The question should be like, would you really interfere? Because the statist, the government, the authoritarian belief is, should the police do something? And if you really see all people the same, no matter what custom they put, then you should ask yourself, would I interfere? If I see someone wants to kill himself and the other person prevents him again, would I really let him do it? Well, would I really prevent the guy from preventing the other guy to kill himself and let him kill himself? Like, for example, if there's someone has like a terminal cancer, God forbid, knock, and he's really suffering, but there's like a religious guy who says, no, life is holy, you can't do it. You can't do it, and the other guy is suffering. You probably intervene and say, let him kill himself. There's no point to his life. He's suffering. So it's all individual. It's very circumstantial.
Could you equally say that I have a belief that death is holy, or something? And if someone is saying, well, life is holy to my religion, well, if you would say like, well, death is holy to my religion, so if you stop him from killing himself, you...
Well, the question is, what would you do? That's the most important question. What would you do? If someone was like, I want to kill myself so I want to get to the next level, and someone else has institutionalized that person and like prevents him to kill himself and is like providing him like some kind of like therapy and a chance to heal, right? Because if there is no chance to heal and all he gets is like imprisoned, then just let him go to the next level, you know? But if you provide him like a chance to get out of it and change his mind, then I probably would let that happen.
Yeah, I think many people...
It's a lifeboat
many
scenario.
people, I mean, it's well known that maybe not a majority of people, but many people will once in their lifetime at least have a deep depression that they usually get out of, and it can happen once, and then they are fine for the rest of their lives. But with that in mind, I think if we're not talking about terminal illness, but just someone that has got a hunch of, well, I think I'm going to kill myself.
That's a sort of.
I think then I would definitely see the reason for stopping a person, but not. I mean, now we have a lot of discussions in Sweden about helping, like aided. What is it called? Aided death or something when you are sick. So there are basically at least two sides, then I would say. So one side that is definitely having lots of Christian people in that side saying, well, no life is sacred, and so, then the other side.
Look, the way I see things is that you can be for it and I can be against it, or the opposite, and we don't need one group of people to decide. We can still, I can be against, you can be for, and we can do whatever we can do in order to prevent or to help people do what they want. And anything can happen. I mean, if people really want to be allowed to decide when to end their life, then they'll probably say, okay, so I'm going to, like my father did it. He made a membership with an organization called Exit, where if he's going to be terminally in some horrible situation, then they're going to do it for him. Like, it's nice because he doesn't want to end up being like insane old and just dragging 5-10 more years.
That's
very
really
noble.
interesting.
It's very noble
really
thing. It's a very noble thing to not be a burden on people you love and to not suffer.
Right. I think this is maybe an issue that is really, I think, a question of. It's kind of also like a political question. It's like authoritarianism versus libertarianism, kind of. Or is the state going to forbid people from doing something that they really want?
Well, let's think about it like this. Let's say you live in an anarchy, but in peaceful anarchy, and there's lots of different communities and organizations. It's not like everything is just work and production of goods and services. It's also about community, and you can be against. Let's try to think like if you were really against the people that deciding to end their life.
Right.
So, but there is anarchy. There's no, you cannot establish a government. Like, no one is going to buy the idea of government again. But you can still do things to make people. You can make campaigns, educate people. You can use sanctions to say, oh, okay, if someone is going to be involved in an institution that does this, I mean, you can say, okay, if someone has a cancer, let's not. We cannot get into the mind of an insane person, so let's try to get into the mind of a reasonable person. That's probably something that we can do much easier. So let's say there is an organization like this company Exit, and they're helping people exit life. So they start by helping cancer patient and AIDS patient. People are like in worst like they're going to die anyway. The only question is how much suffering are they going to suffer, and then they're expanding their services, and they're just aiding anyone who wants to die. Like they say, oh well, we're making money and we have already the infrastructure to do it. So there are many people who want to die. Let's do it. So we're against it. So how do we make them stop? We can use sanctions, not just education. We can heavily invest in education, but we can also use sanctions against those people involved in that institution. And if this isn't enough, then we can use sanctions against anyone who is doing business with those people. Like, take it 1 or 2 or 3 levels far, so no one does with them business. So it's not just they can say, oh well, I still have somewhere to. You don't sell me food, and you don't sell me food, but can go to that store and buy food. Then the owner of that store will not get gas or electricity. So we can do economic sanctions, in a non-violent way, without coercion, just by refusing to interact.
Couldn't I mean, in this kind of anarchistic, where I know very little of it. I don't know if anyone really know that much about it. I think not even Noam Chomsky knows so much about actually how things will work out.
It's because he's a leftist. It's because he's a leftist. He's an anarcho-communist or something like that. He's not thinking like capitalism. He thinks capitalism is the exploit of people. So
So in this case, wouldn't it also be very easy for one institution to become very, very big very quickly
and then over, become a state?
Possibly, yeah.
Like a controlling, like to control the world.
Let's say that you start a company that ends people's lives or something, and then it doesn't matter if people boycott you because you have your own stores, you have your own schools. Let's say that this will happen within 25 years or something. You think about Google or something.
Google, or if you if you take the starting point, like a security company that already has like jeeps and soldiers and airplanes, and they grow and become. Then no, it's the rules of the free market most likely will prevent it, and it's very, 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 very unlikely that it will happen.
But it's like in Sweden, for example, the only thing that has many times prohibited huge companies to buy. You have two companies only two companies in this business, and one company want to buy the other company to make a single company.
Which
institution?
Which business? Which industry?
I don't know that. I don't really know, but it kind of quickly escalates to that, I think.
Well, why do you have only two companies to begin with?
Well, I mean, you have 1, 2, 10, 20 companies in the beginning when the business is new.
10. Okay.
And then,
so you start
and
with
then
10.
10, or then you rise and have more than 10. And then at one point, you will have companies starting to eating each other, starting to buying each other.
No.
So for example, you have...
No,
it
can't happen. It can happen.
It can't?
It can't. It cannot happen.
It can't?
It's a myth, and it takes like 1 minute maybe to burst that bubble, because and it's funny they don't teach it in school because
But I see it all the time in my business. So I work in science, and the companies that we buy equipment from, these companies, they just grow bigger and tend to buy up other companies and they just get bigger and bigger, and they constantly change names into, first they are called one company, one thing, and then like 2 months later when you're going to order something from them, it's you learn that, well, they were actually bought by this even bigger company, and the only thing that's stopping those companies from becoming even bigger is if they are basically splitting again, merging or going bankruptcy. I mean, in other cases, the only thing that will happen is that they will basically continue to buy other companies if there is no government to.
Well, no.
I mean, it seems to have been happening all the time.
No.
So
I mean, there's the illusion that it happens, and it can happen thanks to government intervention in free market, which is it's difficult to not see it. Let's say I just want to open a lemonade stand, not something sophisticated that needs like big government intervention. So if I want to start my lemonade stand, I have to get a permission a license from the municipality and from the Ministry of Health probably, and income tax, VAT, and Social Security, and the police and the fire department.
Right.
And wait a minute. Where do the oranges come from? Well, then there's another Ministry of Agriculture. Yeah, for lemonade stands. So you cannot just ignore government regulation and say, oh well, it's the free market. So the intervention of government in the market is insane. So I mean, most of what we see. Most of the monopolies and cartels are things that government create, facilitate, and they prevent any kind of competition, mostly by regulation.
Are you saying that this is physically impossible?
No, it's possible, and a free market can bring about the creation of a monopoly or cartel, but up to a certain amount of time, and then it will collapse. It won't hold without government assistance. More than that, I mean, a company can become a monopoly if it provides the best service at the best price. Like it doesn't have to be like 100 at the 100,000%. It's probably enough that it will provide like 99.8% of what can be described as the best price and the best service, and they can take that tiny fracture of percent as a profit for themselves, and it will still not be profitable to create a competition. So if someone provides like the best service and the best prices, they can stay a monopoly. But other than that, there's no possibility that free market will create this situation where out of 10 companies, just one buys all the other because one makes more success and then it buys the others. No, it won't happen, because whenever, let's say we have 10 companies, one buys the other, the prices of the other 8 companies is rising. And the company that just made the purchase, she had to spend a lot of money. Now it took a loan probably, or it spent its entire spare money. So the other companies are getting more advantage over the company that buys the first company. And if it buys the second company, it's just losing money and giving the companies that are left over more advantage. So at a certain point, the company that keeps buying other companies will sink. Yes, a company can buy other companies here and there, but not as a strategy to swallow out little ones. That doesn't work.
So if this is physically possible, I don't see that it is completely impossible that it might happen. There might be a chance.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. But it won't hold for too long, because...
Right. So in the scenario where you have running this system for, let's say, 200 years or something, if there is a chance every year for this to happen?
Well, let's take the
during
most.
a prolonged time.
I'm trying to help you. I'm shifting sides.
Yeah.
Side. I'm trying to help you as being the devil advocate.
Yeah.
Let's say there's like a Rothschild family and they store tons of money, so they can really buy lots of companies and still have more money. They have like the insane pressure. So given 50, 100 years, 200 years, they're buying like all the little security companies and they're creating a giant security company.
Right.
And they still have an insane pressure. Let's say it's like this. Yeah. So it's probably not very, very unlikely, because it doesn't serve the people. And if the people are in a free market situation, well, they can really make that rich family bankrupt very easily by switching to just debasing the coin that they use, something that they cannot do today. Deciding to change currency is something that is a huge power in the hands of consumers and people that is not in their hands today. It's in the hand of the government. The government tells you cannot have a business without using local currency. You cannot sell in dollars or just switch to yens. You gotta use your local currency because it's a huge power in your hand. Because if that currency just serves one family, what business you have to use it? I mean, it doesn't serve you. You have nothing to do with that money. It's there's a guy that has tons of that money and he can buy everything, and you don't need that currency. You start using a new currency. So that's one way that you can eliminate it. And I mean,
so it sounds like you have really been thinking about this a lot.
Yes, but I'm not. I haven't. It's not like my confidence in free market doesn't come from me trying to refute all the possible scare stories of like one company buys all, but more like just looking into the reasons why it shouldn't be the case, why it's normally shouldn't be the case, and even if it becomes the case, there are a lot of things that society can do, or just phenomena that will happen, and probably they are very probable to happen in a free society that will prevent such situation. That I don't have to cover for every possible scare story in order to be an anarchist. So that's not something that I do.
Right. I mean, there are enough scare stories in all other different systems and economical systems that already exist. So I don't see that should be maybe worse than another system. But since you have been at least thinking about this, which I haven't been, what would be like the 5 kind of caveats of this? What would be the 5 biggest problems that you have encountered in your thinking about this that you can't really get around?
Well, I can't think of something that is worse than what we have now. Because what we have now is a combination of the same kind of like widespread ignorance and nihilismus and narcissism and the belief in authority, that one group has to control them all. And we already know that power leads to corruption, so we want to disperse that power and give it to make people more equal. So I can't see really, I mean, I can identify problems that I would really be against in a free society, but it's like, I mean, if we find a cure to cancer, there's still, I can catch a cold, and I hate it, and I would be against it. I would be like, let's find a cure for cold, but right now we have to focus on cancer. That's the way I see it.
So in a free market, you say that you have you in your system you have less chances of power corruption, but you will still have companies that is run in that same way as governments are run today, or countries where you have someone in the top that could be corrupt.
Yeah,
is that something that you would even worry about?
No. because just because someone has business with guns and not with like art, let's say someone is like a CEO of a recording company, yeah. So I mean, what damage can he do? Bad albums. Or someone is the CEO of a security company and he has employees with guns. So could he do more damage? Yeah, but theoretically, yeah. But it's very, very unlikely, because the consequences is he's going to lose his business. And people generally don't become very successful in business to do something stupid to destroy their whole business. I mean, there's a reason why people become successful in business, because they can foresee, they can predict better than other people what's going to serve them good for business, and just doing something as silly as starting a crime gang when you're like the top company serving people and people are happy. Very unlikely. I mean, and even if it's going to happen, there are probably going to be a lot of other good business people around to be like, oh, that's a good business opportunity. You're going to fight that bastard.
What do you see that? Do you see any problem, or I don't know if that would be a problem, but that democracy, in the way we have it now with governments, should you have some built-in system to kind of protect that from happening? I mean, because it could just spontaneously come into existence,
no,
right?
When people grow out of their belief in a state, then a state cannot be created using force. Let's first establish some basic understandings. Like, there is the direct control and indirect control. Direct control is like ancient Egypt. You have slaves, or black slavery. The slaves are sleeping at night in the barn. They are locked. They have chains. Then you have to have lots of guards. So direct control of people is very expensive, and it's not very productive. The Western world, or even the non-Western, even the Eastern world, states today are an indirect control of people. Most control is just here in the brain, right? I mean, people believe that it's good to pay taxes, that it's good to obey the law, that it's good to send your children to the army, to be the police, to obey the police, to assist the police. And it's insane to even one person told me that if there's going to be an anarchy in Israel, it's going to fly and run away. So this is indirect control, because it's much cheaper. You don't have to have so many guards and take and worry about resistance. So you still take the government today take 50% of our money at least, and they don't have to put almost no effort to do it. People almost voluntarily surrender.
But still there is always a chance that people would consider to if enough people would consider to gather and then vote, have some kind of voting or something.
So first of all, but you understand that a direct control, it cannot happen through direct control. Because if, let's say, there's like 10 free societies, and then one becomes a direct control, like some security company decides to take over the land, then that society is going to go down. They're going to lose money. They're going to run out of money, and it's basically going to be a very stupid decision.
But look at Singapore.
Look at North Korea.
Yeah, I mean, you could have it like North Korea, you could have it like Singapore.
Yes, but it wouldn't happen. I think it wouldn't happen. I'm very sure it wouldn't happen in a free world. If enough countries become free, then even those countries will not be able to hold it, because our government, it's really good for the government, for Israel government, for Swedish government. It's really good to have North Korea. North Korea is like the example of, look, we're so good, they're bad. Bad government, North Korea, So it's good for them. It serves like as a moral compass which always shows, no matter how much they fuck up, they say, "Oh, look, we're like angels." If you compare us to North Korea, so it's good for them. They even need it to. So now, so the other worry that you're probably talking about is, what if too many people decide, out of a free society, to form a new state, an indirect control? Then here's the thing. If you want to liberate a society, you don't need 50% of the people. Okay? And just to give contrast, if you want to change the law about marijuana, cannabis, you need way more than 50 people. Because even if you're going to have 50 people supporting legalization now, with the democratic government, it's not going to happen. But because it's not a direct democracy, the people are not voting on any little law. It's a representative democracy, and they're making deals, and and it's all revolving door deals. Like, you support my law and I support your law, and when you go to make your vote, when you vote once in 4 years, you have to take the values that you have and things you care about, and probably out of 10 things you have to choose 1 or 2 that you really care about, and make that what makes you decide where to put the piece of paper in the box. But you're gonna give away 8 or 9 other important things. So maybe something is like from 1 to 10. The first thing is 10, and the second thing is like 9. And the third thing is like 8. So you're gonna lose more than you're gonna win. You're probably going to vote for the most important value, but you're going to lose way more. So
this is this society based on, what is it called, like consumer democracy in a way that you will. So that might be my biggest worry, that it might be too slow, it might not even work, and also maybe the biggest worry is that the climate and people's health might be secondary, especially the climate, I think.
It might not be ultimate, but I don't see why government would do better in these realms.
Because I think the climate there might not be people that worry enough about.
So how is government?
Climate
and how is government better in this realm?
Well, I don't know. I don't have I can't really compare to a society that doesn't exist. But
no, that's a society as today, and we say, well, if you just give them freedom, they will buy the cheapest product, not the most green product, and that will lead to the destruction of the earth. Okay, that's a good argument. Strong argument. So
I think that's my biggest worry now when I'm thinking about it. That you might have companies that could pollute or whatever, and
so why is government a solution for that?
It might be. I don't know. Maybe a government is faster to react than a kind of a consumer-based style. When the company goes bankrupt, it goes bankrupt when enough consumers find out that it has polluted the environment, but then it's like already too late, maybe, for the earth or something.
Or maybe people generally don't buy green, like when they are forced to, then but when they have the freedom, they don't tend to buy. People today, they don't buy green, right?
That's what I'm saying.
It costs more. It's very difficult. You have to go far to get the same product eventually, or even maybe less of a good product. So you say, well, economic and convenience incentives will make people do bad decisions. And government, well, here's the thing. Why would government do any better? I mean, I think that people should be educated and made, people have to be improved in a moral sense.
Yes,
and
of course.
And even in a free market, I mean, we can do horrible things. I mean, I went vegan about 2.5 years ago. And are you vegan?
I eat fish actually, but no land living animals.
Okay, so you're on the way. So you know what I'm talking about.
I used to for like 10 years I didn't eat fish. I was eating eggs, I think, and some milk, but then I went back to eating fish. But I have no plans of starting to eat any land living animals.
Yeah. So you made the decision with it in yourself, and
right
now I just did it 2 years ago, so maybe 2.5. So I really remember what it was like before that. I was still an anarchist many years before that, believing in free market, freedom, and so on and so on. I just didn't think about it, It looked to me like it's a normal thing. So yeah, we can do horrible things even without government. And if you ask me personally, what do I prefer, anarchy or a vegan world? I'll say, well, I'd rather pay 50% income tax for the next 100 years and to liberate the animals today than to be free today and liberate the animals in 100 years. Because I think they're suffering more than I'm suffering by paying the government so much money. Now, but it takes some we can improve ourselves. Government is not the sole source of evil in the world. Sure, I mean, everyday people are. And but the thing is, and I was almost getting to that point, and I want to finish it, that we can the weak spot of government, of indirect control government, is that, and people don't understand it, that you don't need more than 2 or 3% people who are very decisive on not surrendering to bring the regime down. Okay, let's take the worst government. Let's take North Korea. They barely have 1% of the people in concentration camps, and it's already overpopulated, and the country is doing shit. Yeah. So, if 2% in a more morals, in a more ethical society, decide to stop paying taxes, it can't work. Like, let's take real numbers just to understand. In Israel, the population is 8 million, and the prison population is 15,000 people, prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
So we know those prisoners are Arab terrorists, car thieves, violent people, innocent people, many of them probably. But the prison is almost full. Yeah, it's at maybe 80% capacity. And the guards are always complaining, we don't get enough budgets, blah, 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 blah. And let's say 1% of the population in Israel, which is like 80,000, decide to stop paying taxes. Just 1% of the people go on start revolt, and they say, no, we do not obey the government anymore. So, well, the cops can come and catch them, but there are 30,000 cops. Yeah, but yeah, they have guns. They have guns and cars, so they can catch them and lock them where? How many can they hold, right? They can't even take 10% of that 1%. So if 1% of the people say enough,
right,
the government can't even stop 10%. The government can't even stop 10% of them. So the government stands no chance against a very small critical mass. The critical mass of people that are needed to liberate society, technically is 1%. But
I mean,
but
like
probably
you say,
to get to that 1% of people who are really willing to take the risk and understanding that they might be out of luck and be in those 10% that are really paying the personal price,
Right.
You probably need more than just 1% of people who
Yeah.
believe in the idea to get to that critical mass that are willing to really do something about it. But
Yeah. But I think that the way the society is built up is it's on trust. It's the society is based on that everyone trusts each other. For example, like you say, trust them not to stop paying taxes or.
Free society is based on trust,
Yeah,
and the trust is not just like a social construct, but a real thing. I mean, it's a result of a game theory. It's called. It's like you walk down the street, and people will not hit you, not because there's a law, but because that's nature. I mean, people people have the ability to calculate what's going to happen, like action and consequences. So
I mean, this is not something that is human. It's I mean, all around the animal kingdom, you have the same kind of behavior.
If you grow an animal, if you have a pet, you see it.
Yeah. So it's tit for tat.
Now the government, it's. I wouldn't say it's trust. I mean, if it was just trust, they wouldn't need to do so much effort to keep that thing going. That's why the government has a flag and they have like this stupid song. Every government has their own song which people sing, and they think like, oh, this is my song. It's like the what you call the I forgot what's it called.
Like a national anthem or something.
Yeah. That, and they have like their own sacred symbols, and the sacred places, and they need to really get into the early. They need to get into people at the very early age. That's why they take control of the education of children.
Yeah.
Kindergarten even, they gotta have that. They gotta poison their mind, because the philosophy wouldn't really work on someone who had raised in a free society, in a free market.
I think the level of nationalism is, I mean, of course, it's also biological, because it's group thinking. It's in group and out group. So we have one group. That means that the other, they are not in our group. So group thinking is biological, but
they are exploiting it. They're exploiting that.
I think
exploiting that situation by putting you
in
a cage and tell you, oh, the people in the cage are your group, because they know that you're going to respond to that group. They know you're going to have that response.
I don't think it's always the case, but it's definitely something that makes things easier for some countries if you can rally around a flag or something. And I am definitely not fond of group identity, because it just separates people from each other. It's really bad, and it's just more and more of this in Sweden. Group identity it's getting worse, I think. And it's not even nothing that government has anything to do with. It's just culture, I think.
Well, they have to provide the infrastructure for this to happen. They know that it's natural. It will happen. I mean, we'll develop affection to what's more closer to us, and I see it at work. Like I'm switching teams. Sometimes they move me from a team to team, and suddenly I become closer to someone else. Like we go to eat lunch together, and I just forget about someone I used to go to lunch with, and like I didn't talk to him 1 month, and it's like crazy. But
I think you can probably make this happen if you take 10 people. 5 people get green clothes and 5 people get blue clothes or something. There you have it. That's enough. That's what you need. Now and then you say that green team, you will go there, and these 5 guys will start to talk and start to say that, well,
we
this group thinking is extremely strong in in the biology, I think. So that's why I think.
But our brain has the capacity to overcome it. Like, for example, like I'm an anarchist, or you know, we're both interested in street epistemology, and today we're spending the evening talking to each other instead of being with our group, you know, or a nationalistic group or something that like we can overcome it, and I'm having conversations with anarchists around the world. And I made a lot of changes in my social circles and family. I gave up a lot of family relationships and friends to be around people I really... you have to make the sacrifice, and most people, of course, today don't do it. They just stick with it. They stay close to their parents, and they go to the army, and they stay forever friends with the people they met in the army. And it's all great, but, you know, we have to teach people to value virtue over relationships.
So tell me about this, because it's something that this is something I've been thinking about as well, that when you make decisions, sometimes you will start to speak your mind about other things than what you used to do, and people that you used to know you doesn't recognize you anymore as the person that they think that you used to be, and you might lose friends over that. Or is that something that you experience from kind of shifting to these ideas, or something? Or was it something else?
When I shifted into the idea of anarchy, most of my friends were like very open to it. Some were a little bit ambivalent, but most like went there with me. And those that weren't, I really got a little bit far from. I still have a relationship with them, still meet with them, still talk with them. But, you know, I try to be a positive example so that they can develop the courage that it takes to make the shift.
Yeah.
But when I went vegan, oh my God, oh my goodness. I mean, my friends are like, no, Eyal is vegan now? Oh no, because I used to cook for my friends always, lots of meat.
Okay.
And then there's like, you can't have that anymore with that person. Like, you can't enjoy a steak with him anymore. Oh no. So,
all right. So that was a big shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was something in Sweden. This was a sensitive subject when I became vegetarian, maybe 99 or something. It was a sensitive subject in Sweden. There were less vegetarian options at restaurants and everything, and also people could be upset if you didn't eat dead animals. Now it's of course more common, but still the moral issue with eating meat is still not really discussed that much, I think.
Well, here it's really weird, because I remember being the meat eater around other meat eaters, and we always had this token guy, this token vegan guy, and we pity him like he doesn't even eat fish. And I always regarded veganism as like a personal choice. And vegans and vegetarians, because there were so few, and we need social relationships, so they never dared to talk about the moral side of things. It was just that they never criticized or suggested even anything. It was more, it was like, I looked at them and I said, well, they prefer for their own feel. They feel better by not eating a cow. And I'm thinking to myself, well, even if I'm not going to eat meat, same number of cows are going to get killed today. Because that cow, like, is being eaten by 300 people. 200 people are going to eat this cow. So I'm going to...
Would you say, so that would be a quite pessimistic thinking, that there is no chance that consumer kind of democracy, or what do they call it, consumer
power,
control, or that would work. If people would think like that, there wouldn't be a change. Kind of,
it's a perfect example. I mean, there's so much correlation between the fight for liberating animals and liberating humans, and I can see it on myself. Before I went vegan, I one day I saw a video about kosher slaughter, and I said like, oh, it's horrible. Like, I can't believe it. I mean, it's so easy to just give them a bullet in the head. Why take them through such a prolonged and horrible death? And I really had the option to say, okay, there's a store like 50 meters from here that sells non-kosher food, meat, and they have like veal, like pigs and whatnot. And there's the kosher butcherer, which is like 20 meters from here. And it's like one of the best, good butcherers in Israel. It's like one of the 10 best. And I used to be happy that it's like just 20 meters from here, because I get like the most fresh meat and whatnot, and it's kosher. But it's much more tasty. It's much more fresh. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go to the other store and buy maybe meat that is less fresh but more moral. And I switched to free-range eggs. And I paid 30 shekels for a carton instead of 10 shekels for the normal eggs. And it went so. Now, with the eggs, I kept, until the end, I kept buying free-range, because I'm not stressed with money. I'm a programmer. I have enough money. It's not $5, $10 a month. I can survive. But with the meat thing, it held for like 2 months maybe, and I was back to the old butcher, because he was bringing much better, much more tasty steaks. I mean, it's insane how much.
So the way, have you been thinking much about is that the most, the thing that most moral thoughts get into, the way that the animal is being slaughtered? Or because I'm thinking like the suffering from kosher slaughter contra suffering from conventional slaughter. Let's say that the conventional slaughter is the act of killing might be slower, or I mean faster. Let's say it's 5 minutes instead of 20 minutes or something. But
it's actually more like 2 minutes versus less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, right. Yes. So I'm extending the thinking of this slaughter. So is it a meat transport?
What?
Right. So wait, we can wait. I can't hear myself.
Oh, I hear you fine.
Okay. So I couldn't hear that much. So what I was thinking about in this issue is that there's so much more to the slaughter than just the act of the killing. That it's just, to me, that's just a very minor thing. If the animal is suffering for 2 minutes or 2 seconds,
the rest of their life, how they live.
That's what matters to me.
But I'm describing to you that the low level of awareness that I was in when I was like just in the beginning of the way.
Yeah.
The thing that got me to become vegan was that it was like a series of things, maybe 3 or 4 different things that I attribute to the change.
Yeah.
The first was I had for a while a vegan girlfriend, and I got familiar with the food, with the vegan food. So I knew what to expect on the other side of reality when I switched. I didn't even plan to make the switch. She wasn't talking with me about it. She was fine with me eating meat and milk and whatever. But I knew the taste of the food, so I knew what is there. So that was one factor that helped me eventually make the change. And then I was doing some activism with two other anarchists, and they were vegan. And they told me about this movie, Earthlings, and I noticed that all their friends are vegan too. So they're not like this, oh, I'm vegan and all my friends are not.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the choice to change their surroundings to fit their values.
Yeah.
And which is something that I did in my life. I stopped talking for many years ago with my family, with my original family, and I'm kind of like back to talking with my father and my mother, but not with my brothers and sisters, my brother and sisters. But I made a lot of choice in my social circle.
But this was because of the food you ate, or
no, just because of other things that mattered to me. And more like, just relationship stuff. I made the choice to change people and not just keep suffering with people because they are my family. And I saw that those vegan people, that they really changed their surrounding, and I could see the contrast between those vegan friends that I had in the past, that they didn't make that choice. They said, well, I'm vegan, I care for animals, but I'm going to go to a barbecue because friends are more important to me than my values. Like, I'm not going to eat animals, but I'm going to a barbecue party, and I'm not going to eat anything, but... So that kind of sends the other message that those values are really important to me. You can still get to know these people, but their close friends are vegan. And the third thing I think that influenced me was a lot of activism. Just down the building, there's like a fountain, and one morning the fountain was red, and there was like a head of a cow on top of it, and it was all over the news. And I opened the news, and shit, that's the fountain downstairs.
Yeah,
and it's like in the news, and vegan activists, they painted it red and they put like a head of a cow there, and I was like, God damn, those vegans, they really care about those values, and that's something that got me into it, because I understood that it's leading somewhere, it's going somewhere, it's really going. It's not more, oh, it's just me and I prefer to not eat. It's a moral thing, They say they say, okay, this is a moral thing. We want to change that.
Yeah.
We want to put an end to slavery. It's not just about I don't like to have black slaves. It's about you should neither. So that's when I made the decision to.
Right. So if you, I mean, it's very common that you have a chance that you have a chance of interacting with someone about veganism, because you meet people all the time that eat meat, and I mean, I never think about doing that much anymore. I think it's still a very sensitive subject to many people.
Yeah, but I think that we have a moral obligation to really do as much as we can, talk with anyone that you can.
Right. My question is how can people make this conversation? How do you make a conversation that is non-confrontal?
Well,
with someone that
I keep it non-confrontational. Even if people try to anger me, I anticipate it, and I know how to react, and I know where to put the limits. And luckily, it's very unlike anarchism, where I go to my working place and people wouldn't discover that I'm an anarchist normally, but they discover on the first day that you're a vegan. They tell you, oh, we're going to have burgers. I'm like, well, you can get away with no, I don't feel like burgers today. but it's not going to last more than a week, and everybody going to know that you're a vegan. So and it's funny how people, you know, like you tell them I'm an anarchist, let's talk about the state, and they're willing to get into a discussion. And you tell them I'm a vegan, let's talk about what you're eating. No, like very emotional.
Right, food is much more emotional. Food is always emotional to people.
Yeah, they can become very defensive with food, whereas with anarchy they can keep it intellectual.
Yeah, I think that's my experiences, and that's why I'm wondering how you talk to people about this. I would like to know your experiences with getting people just to reflect on it a little bit, and then I can maybe tell.
Usually, people do it by
something
themselves.
About.
People just do it with themselves. They come and they talk about it, and sometimes they throw a little bit here and there as much as they can. But I also noticed that, you know, I did influence close friends, but some people, they don't have that surrounding to, like I have a friend who's barely on Facebook, he's barely on the computer. He's like not a man from the present time. Like, the guy is outside or meeting friends most of the time. He's not connecting really with the computer, and his English sucks. So he's living a very local life. Okay. So when he's around me, he's not eating any meat or milk. He's respecting me. He's ordering the soy milk. But when he's not with me, all his other friends are non-vegan. So it's very. I mean, me myself, it was a very difficult shift for me. I had to watch a lot of videos and to join a lot of groups and do a like and many Facebook pages that present you the reality of what animals have to go through, so that I can really retain that and keep that decision to be vegan. So if you don't have that must be well. I understand that, you know, it's all about phases. Like the first vegans, the first wave vegans, they couldn't talk about morality, and they didn't have a variety of vegan products. And today we have a privilege that we can really make the moral argument. So who knows what's going to be like the third and fourth wave of veganism?
Yeah, and there is good literature as well about, I mean, moral questions about eating meat now as well. I think I haven't read a Singer's book about animal liberation, but I'm thinking about buying it. It's supposedly to be it's a classic book. I think it's from the 70s. Have you read it?
The name? What's the name?
I think the book is called Animal Liberation.
The answer is no, but I haven't read any book on animal liberation. But I've listened to a lot of I've read articles, and I've listened to a lot of lectures and radio show, podcasts, and I listened to all videos from Gary Francione. Although he's a leftist, socialist, feminist, and a lawyer, I really like how he explains veganism. Yeah, and also the other Gary, I pretty much like what their ideas.
Yeah, I think there are so I've been thinking about reasons for me to eat meat. So what would be the reasons for me to eat meat? In what situations would I eat meat? So I think
there's a sound problem in your mic or something.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So situations where I would eat meat. One situation would be since I enjoy fishing, and I can catch fish. I can take the fish, kill it, and eat it. And most of the time, I release the fish. But I would never be able to, under normal circumstances, to kill a cow or to kill a chicken.
Well, it's conditioning.
So I wouldn't eat something that I couldn't kill myself. That's my first.
You know that you can condition
That's my
yourself
first-
to
that's
do
my
anything, probably.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But that's kind of my first rule. I mean, if there would be a situation where I would eat meat, it would be from me taking a hunting license here in Sweden and kill a wild animal with a shot, so this animal wouldn't even know what was happening before it's dead. That would be probably my best situation where I would go, eat meat, and it wouldn't, I would do it then. This is one scenario, I think, when I would maybe. I'm not saying that I would.
But you also you have to think about the consequences of how is it going, how are you going to be able to advance the cause for animals when you're saying I can eat meat if I go and hunt. Now not all people can do it, very few people can do it, but it's very easy for them to just go to the McDonald's or the supermarket and buy a packaged corpse. So you can find a way to find a moral excuse for you to do the least harm, and
right.
But is it really going to not interfere? I suppose that you want to liberate animals. Then how is it going to work for you as a spokesman for animals?
So I can't really be a spokesman, I think, for animals in all situations, because I'm in science, and since I'm in science is consuming lots of animals for the cause of science. So I see that maybe science is not needed. So in that case, we could
surely we can stop doing
right.
90% of the experiments on animals, at least 90%, maybe probably 99.9.
We could stop all experiments.
I guess so.
Yeah, we could choose to stop all science.
No, but to exploit and torture a monkey just for a makeup company.
Right. But there is nothing that is stopping us from just disassemble all of scientific institutions and stop doing science and research.
But most people
right?
won't agree with you that let's stop doing science, but I think that 99% of the people can agree, let's not exploit animals for stupid things that we really don't need, right?
Right, yeah, but we don't really need to do science at all. We could say that we are happy with what we know.
Oh,
right.
It's like that. What about I could still catch a cold or a flu, even if I cure cancer? Question. I think at this point we really have to focus on the cancer and leave the question about dealing with the flu after. So if we can get a wide agreement and end the use of the 99% of experiments on animals, then we should first achieve this, and then if we can achieve the other 1%, great. If no, we can still be happy with the achievement.
Yeah, but I think that there is no way of removing 99% of the animal tests. So the thing with science is that either we have model animals or we don't do science. Of course, it's possible to remove a percent here, a percent there.
And how many, in percentage, how many animals are exploited by science experiments, and how many are just being raised just to be killed for food?
Right. So this is the big thing. I think eating animals is, of course, the major concern, because the animals that are sacrificed in science is very few compared to what we eat.
So we're talking about 99.999%.
Yeah.
The problem
Yes.
is the food
Right.
industry. So
Yeah.
if you have an inconsistency in 0.0001%, you can still be a spokesman for animals.
Yeah.
And if someone tells you, oh no, wait, your company exploits 10 rabbits, so you can tell me to not kill dozens of animals every year. Yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, you can. You fix this, and then we talk about my problems.
This I agree. I think this is the way to reason. That first think about the business that kill most animals just for pure food that we could manage to eat none of them, or very, very few of them, and then consider other businesses where you have animals being killed. And also, in science, the conditions for the animals are much, much, much better than the conditions in the food industry. So in the scientific community, you need big cages for the mice, you need veterinarians that look after them, and you have caretakers and everything. So the people that are going after animal experiments in science, yes, you can do that, of course, if you want to, but it's definitely not the main concern, I think.
Like I said, it's not cancer and cold.
Yeah, I think if we can also make advantages in science that can lead to less suffering, it's a good thing. Eating chicken will not lead to less suffering in the future. I think so. That's why. I guess the chicken industry would be the first to go at, because most animals that are killed are chicken. Mm-hmm. I think there's probably 10 or 100 times more. I don't know the numbers. You probably know.
No.
More about that. Yeah.
I'm horrible with statistics.
Yeah.
And general knowledge and history.
Yeah. But if we should briefly touch on street epistemology.
Yeah.
So how did you come in contact with that, and how have you been using it?
Well, the first time I was exposed to the idea was I saw Peter Boghossian interview with Stefan Molyneux when he released the book, Manual for Creating an Atheist, about 3 years ago, something like that. And I really liked the title of the book, and I told myself, probably you should check it out. And it took me a while, but I did check it out, I did read it, and it didn't really give me a lot. I didn't really extract much from it. Maybe I missed the most important stuff there. And I forgot about it. And then I think I bumped into Anthony's video, 5-minute Street Epistemology. I did remember Street Epistemology, the name. And when I saw the video, I immediately recognized what he was doing. I recognized that he was asking for confidence level in the beginning, and that he's really asking people about how do you know it? And this is something that I do as an anarchist all the time, especially as I'm doing a lot of court activism. It means I'm doing a lot of Socratic questioning, more confrontational, but I'm still engaged in a lot of Socratic questioning, which it all comes down to how do you know. So when you do it in court, you can be as almost as confrontational as you want, because they've some sort of like a due process which they pretend to be respecting, and it requires them to give answers and just to go on. How do you know? So how do you know? And just keep on pressing that point.
Yeah.
So I really like this idea, and then I discovered the application. You know the application.
I haven't paid for it, so I don't know the full story or how it goes after the.
Yeah, I think it kind of repeats itself. I think. I mean, it becomes boring after the third chapter. But
Okay.
it really like the first episode was really like it really trained me to not explode immediately on every chance they try to gaslight you, and you're like, oh, I want to get angry.
So that's maybe you can just define gaslighting. What it
saying
is.
something maybe too ridiculous, outrageous, that makes you think the other person is disrespecting your intelligence or whatever, bringing you to an emotional response, and making you create antagonism in the other party, and
All right.
leading the discussion away from Socratic reasoning of like, okay, but how do you know?
All right. Okay. Yeah. So this is. So did you find this to be effective in these situations in the court?
In the court, not so much. It's the court is it has its own rules, and it's not just the rules of the court. It's about the rules of. We have a strategy and a method to get there, because the court are very hostile. They allow themselves to use as many logical fallacies as they want, and
Okay.
and you have to bring them to contradict themselves, and even then it's not enough. So it's very different from having just a normal conversation with a normal person who is interested in the truth, and having a conversation with someone who is a professional liar. Yeah.
So you can't. So basically, in court, you have to. Go down
It
to
didn't
their
help me.
level.
It didn't.
Yeah.
Sort of. It didn't help me in court too much.
Yeah.
Besides I would initially not get too angry at court. It's really, but it kind of helped me a little bit. But it helped me mostly with dealing with just normal people. When I'm talking with them about government, they say like outrageous, stupid things. And I'm like, it's not true, and you're just trying to get me angry. And instead of that, like, what made you say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, you're the understanding that you're the winner if you don't get angry.
Right. I think it's better to
To be the adult.
bite your tongue.
Yeah, to be
in
the
that
adult,
case,
and
yeah.
not to. If you think of the other person as a child, then you wouldn't be like getting angry at them and going down to their level. You'll be like, bring them up to your level. No matter how much they try to go down, like, I'm waiting for you right here. Like, I'm not the better person, but if you want to have a nice conversation, then we have to respect each other and stop calling each other names, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to benefit anything from calling you stupid in response to you calling me stupid.
I think so my experience is that I was into debate mode if I would discuss religion, for example, with someone. I would immediately go into my debate mode, which would be very very confrontational,
Yeah.
kind of aggressive. So reading this book, that I don't know where I read about the book. It might have been like the Richard Dawkins Foundation or something that reviewed it. I read it, and it really changed me completely, actually. It completely changed me into thinking that, I've done it wrong my whole life. This is how to think about it. And then when I started to apply it, downtown, when I was talking to are very religious people, for example. I started to change, I think, my whole personality. I've become, I think, thanks to this book and Street Epistemology, I've become much more thoughtful and much more adult, I think, mature. I think I've grown a lot from this. At the same time, I'm not afraid of speaking my mind. So that also can make you lose friends sometimes, or people get upset.
Yeah, if you know transactional analysis, then it's like the difference between parent mode and adult mode.
Okay. No, I don't. I'm not familiar with that.
Oh. It's a social psychological theory. It's very interesting. It's called the transactional analysis, and describes 3 basic states of mind: child, adult, and parent. And the parent is like speaking to the child. The parent is like everybody to him is a child, and the adult is like adult to adult. The adult can also talk to a child as an adult to child, but when we're in confrontational mode or in debate, we're trying to be the parent and then regard the other person as a child.
Right.
So switching back to adult, be like, and I did have like someone in the Street Epistemology group trying to like gaslight me, and I could still remain, like trying to be like, why go there? Like let's be civilized, let's extract something from the conversation.
Right. I mean, there have been a few occasions where some discussions have been quite heated, and I think it's amazing that even in that group, people switch back to emotional states very quickly, and that just tells that this is a method that takes a lot of practice. Because there was a discussion about eating meat actually that people got quite emotional, and they couldn't really handle this when it came to their own food. So they directly switched back to emotion and getting angry when they got confronted with the fallacies of eating meat, for example. So it's interesting. It is really hard because you constantly have to think about everything that you are doing. In debate mode or when you are confrontational, you don't have to think about what the other person is, how the other person is going to react to what you are saying. It doesn't really matter. Because then you can just say, well, you are wrong.
Here you're the holes in your theory, and you're like presenting to the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, in Street Epistemology, you constantly have to have the report that you have started with.
It's about helping. It's about helping.
Yeah, if you start by building rapport, you have to constantly making sure that you are not crashing that kind of report that you have, the relation that you have, you built up. Continue to maintain that at a high level at all time, I think.
What I really like about Street Epistemology is that you can go in the beginning and ask, what's your confidence level, and it's like 100 in the end of the 5 minutes, or how much. It's like, well, now it's 60, and it's considered a success. Whereas when anarchists usually talk to non-anarchists, they're getting exploded if the other person doesn't end in, I totally agree with you. Then it's like a failure, and it's like black or white thinking. And I learned to be like, well, thank you for your time, and now I'm really happy that we got to some points, and if I made 10% progress today, it's amazing.
I think, I think also thanks to Street Epistemology, I think it helped me to much easier hear other people out. For example, hear you out and say that, well, yeah, I mean, sounds not too bad what you're saying. I think you have been thinking a lot about this, so it probably makes a lot of sense to me. Before I would probably just say no, and maybe not even listen that much. So now I'm listening. I also, maybe it gets you to think or care less about what the other person is thinking a little bit, because it's like, well, it doesn't really matter if the other person is not really thinking the same, having the same opinion as me. It's okay. It helped me with that. I mean, I'm thinking like, oh, it is okay, even if this person is thinking that the world will end within 10 years. It's fine. I mean, I don't have to try.
It's about how I can help. What's the best way I can help him? Maybe I can do a 10%, solve 10% of his problems, or 5%, or 1% even.
Yeah.
The most that I can, instead of nothing.
Right.
Instead of getting him even more angry and more confused.
Right. Yeah, and just double down. That's probably what happens most of the time.
It doesn't mean, I say that all the time with the anarchy business, that there are people, and it's a philosophical mantra, there are people who put themselves in a situation where they cannot anymore longer think for themselves. Like the judge, for example. He's not going to agree with you no matter what, because he's invested in this bullshit. Not just the judge. Every lawyer out there has invested so much in buying that membership card in the cult of lawyers. He spent at least 4 years studying, and it's a period of time that he probably spent tons of energy on studying things that he doesn't need, just to satisfy his teachers, just to get a diploma, and then to make the bar exams, and then he had to be like a stagiaire, to work for like very little salary for a year or two, and then very difficult to get started and to find clients. And if he goes against the cult, he's going to be debarred very soon. He's going to lose his license, and he puts so much into it, and he's so much to lose if he's wrong, that it's just unreasonable to expect that he's going to change his mind. Just don't bother. Don't waste time explaining to someone who's a lawyer why the law is a stupid idea. Yeah.
No, that's maybe a bit similar to someone that is in a religious cult that you have invested so much time in it, and which makes it even harder to
someone who's in the police it's not his first month or 2 months in the police. He spent years, he made advancement, he's made connections. That's the only way he knows how to make money, and that's the source of his happiness. There's no chance you're going to take it away from him. So at best you can make him maybe think about the limits of right and wrong, and then maybe you can step by step, bring him to recognize, like put the seeds of the truth there, that he can recognize something as being wrong. Maybe you can make a slight change in his behavior, and his time will come one day, just like my time has come to become a vegan. And it was, it took a lot of time, and it took vegans to do activism. And then only after there was a lot of vegan activism in Israel, that's where I woke up and I was like, okay, it's time for me to align myself with my principles.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is the society now thinking about veganism or vegetarianism? Is it something that you read about newspaper. Like here in Sweden, we have schools starting to have like 1 day a week will only be serving vegetarian food, for example. And I mean, there is discussions about it always.
Here it exploded. Israel is considered like the one of maybe the most vegan place in the world right now. It's really exploded hard, and yet though maybe I think 2% of the population is vegan, so it's not too much. But there's in every restaurant vegan options, not just one. When I go to Europe for vacations, there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, I really see the contrast when I go to Europe, to Germany or so. You see, like, there's nothing in there. Like I look for the one option that is maybe without meat and cheese and whatever, and I'm like, I'll have the potato soup, and it comes with like little pink cubes.
That sounds like how it used to be in Sweden when I became non-meat eater, or before that for friends that used to be vegetarians long before I. So but now if you would go to Sweden now, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Definitely not.
In Germany it's still hard, still difficult.
Yeah.
Rome it was a little bit difficult. So in Israel it's extremely easy, and everybody talks about it. And one thing that was really how do you say that really made the thing move forward was there's a TV show called The Big Brother. It's probably everywhere in the world. And one of the participants was a vegan activist, like a really hardcore activist from 269 and Animal Liberation Front and so. And she was a hell of a good speaker, and she won.
Okay.
And it's like the most popular TV show, and so, I mean, everybody talks about it. Since then, it's like,
all right.
It's the conversation of the day every day, and the activists are doing so much activism. Like every holiday, I mean, Israelis love to barbecue. Like they have several holidays, or especially like Independence Day. Independence Day is like barbecue day. Yeah.
Okay.
So they made a lot of activism on this day, and every holiday, and every day is an excuse for more activism. So it's huge. It's amazing. Very inspiring.
I think in Sweden it kicked off really maybe 1997, maybe 1995, mid-90s. Back then, we had most of these really militant people. They were burning cars that were used to ship animals. They went to all of these farms and released a lot of animals. And that's when it all started. And then some of these people went to jail. But I think then by doing that probably kicked off the discussion about this much more. So I'm thinking even if it would be the most moral thing to do, to do something that is not legal, it might not be the most efficient way of acting.
I think it's needed. It's needed. You need both the how do you say the mild form of activism, the intellectual one, and also the brute force one. I mean, the incident with the fountain downstairs wasn't the only one around here. There's a McDonald's, the others just across the street. There's a McDonald's, and twice they broke the windows and painted them red. And I remember looking at it and I said, "Well, I mean, I thought to myself, well, it's kind of stupid because it's not just McDonald's that is evil. I mean, all the other small restaurants, they sell food, they sell meat as well. So why, fight only McDonald's? But I never looked at it as like completely nonsensical. I mean, it raised, when I recognized that it's making me think about the issue, and that nothing else would make me think about. Like, if you put like a brilliant article in the newspaper about veganism, I'll be like, skipping it. But when you break the window of McDonald's, you got me thinking now, right? So
right, I think I agree.
And it's not about fashion. You're not getting me thinking about buying like yellow boots. It's about a moral issue, something that. So yeah. Right. Even if you would think that, well, these people are stupid breaking windows, it also possibly makes you think a little bit about the message. No, if you think that veganism is stupid and it's not going to change anything, but if you think, but if your natural response to veganism is positive, but you just you're just not thinking about it, it doesn't penetrate your daily focus, like you're evading the whole topic, and this pushes you and makes you think about it, then it's effective.
Yeah,
it's not going to affect everybody, but it's going to affect. It's about, you have to look at people as different sectors that are just programmed differently, and they require different strategies to get to. So
yeah, like the Bogosians, maybe it's not Bogosians terminology, but you have people that are doxastically closed or open, ready to change in all these levels, where you have the doxastically closed people. They will never change, and whatever happens, they will just double down on their own belief and
most probably because they're invested in this. Like, they have friends and family who will ridicule them and will just have nothing to do with them if they don't eat meat anymore. So when you tell them go vegan, they think about, well, what do I do with my father and brother? The best times we have is barbecue, and other than that, it's like not so much. So, I mean, you ask them to give up too much, and they haven't prepared anything else for themselves.
It's also
you'd probably have more success with them by asking them, what does eating meat means to you?
I think for what I'm coming to here is that it might also be something that is more, that males are more prone to thinking that eating meat might be something that is, manly, or if it's something that is biological or not, I don't know. If you would consider it to be some
I think it's
hunting mechanism.
It's an addiction. Like, when you eat meat, you really get hungry for meat. Like, you get the craving. It's more addictive than cigarettes. Like, the craving for meat is insane when you're a meat eater and you want meat and you want meat. And so that's one thing. And
but it's a lot of social structures, for sure.
Yeah.
And as well as biological factors that the body is want to eat meat, just naturally. Might be something.
It's an addiction. When you're used to it, the body learns. The body needs a lot of nutrition, all sorts of stuff. And if you give it meat, the body learns to extract what it needs from the meat, and it can't tell you like, listen, Uli, I want vitamin C. It tells you, give me another orange. And if you eat, and the body needs sugar, so if you eat chocolate, the body is going to tell you another piece of chocolate. So
did you experience, because I don't really remember when I started to eat vegan or vegetarian food, but do you remember any effects it had to you when you stopped eating meat? To your body? Anything?
Nothing. And I didn't stop all at once. In the beginning, I had just one piece of meat a week, and then within 2 months, 3 months, I completely stopped.
All right.
And I still had a few pieces, like a few months later. When I was in Germany, I was one day I was really hungry, and we sat down at Hard Rock Cafe. Me and my girlfriend really wanted to go to Hard Rock Cafe once, and we went there, and I'm like, "What's the vegan option? What's the vegan option? Veggie burger. I'll have the veggie burger, and with mushrooms. Yeah, okay." So I'm getting like just a piece of meat burger with lots of vegetables, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna eat it," and I ate it, and horrible.
So you didn't get a vegetarian?
No. They just call it veggie because it comes with a lot of vegetables.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then I learned the lesson. Ask specifically.
That's weird. That's really weird. Yeah.
It's called veggie burger. Don't order it.
Okay. Yeah. I think one of the most popular hamburger restaurants here, they have I think 3 different burgers that are vegetarian. I ate one of those today, actually.
It's just a name for them, veggie, because it comes with lots of vegetables. I wasn't.
That's weird.
I just assumed it's vegetarian, it's vegan.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how many people are vegetarian in Germany, and probably even less in US. I think I never done SC really with people about food and about meat. It would be interesting. I would like to have a conversation with someone that is eating lots of meat and see how they think about it. Especially in someone from the Street Epistemology group would be interesting. Someone that is willing to change their mind. That would be interesting.
Yeah, my main interest in Street Epistemology is about just how to improve my activism, because it's something that I'm doing really professionally. Like I'm still working as a programmer, but my hope is to become a full-time activist around that. So, although I'm very passionate about helping the cause for animals, my specialty is the issue with governments, and I value animals, the suffering of animals more than the suffering of people in the hands of government, because animals suffer more. But my main interest was like, okay, how can I use it to improve my ratio with getting people out of thinking about government, and there's a difference between using it for faith and using it for the belief in government. There are many different things. Like, for example, the idea of faith, it doesn't play. It's not a factor in the belief in government. There's no why do you believe in government? Because I have faith. No, so faith is only very specific to theism.
But isn't there similarities if someone would say, well, I believe it just because it is that way, or they can't really go further with why they believe it, then it's basically like faith.
Well,
you just believe it because you want to believe it, or you just someone that hasn't really thought of it all the way to the first point in the logical program.
In a way, from a certain perspective, the belief in government is more insane than the belief in theism, because to believe in theism, you have to go back to the beginning of times, yeah, and it's about the theory of how, you know, who created the world, while the government is about just like, oh well, suddenly someone has rights because we all voted, we all agree to giving the right to be a criminal, and then it becomes virtuous. So, I mean, if you say, well, God have given the Torah, then it's one thing. If you say, well, the government has created the laws, the book of the law, then it's like, it's kind of like more insane, because, I mean, it's just like some kind of like we make a ritual, and then those people become a government.
So, one question again, if we go back to animal suffering, I had one question in mind that I haven't asked anyone yet, so I will ask you now. Have you considered animals in the wild animals?
Yeah.
Let's say animals in the Swedish forest or in the savannah, where you have predator animals, carnivores, that eat herbivores. Did you ever think about if there is any time for trying to stop suffering going on in the prey animals that is caused by the
very young
predators?
child, I did. As a very young child, this was one of my thoughts. I'm talking about like maybe first grade or maybe before that even. I thought about this question when I heard about like, animals are eating other animals. Oh, it's bad. Like we gotta make the lion stop eating the zebra. And you know, I understood that, you know, probably like, the humans have to stop first, and then you know, when the world become vegan, then we probably have to get into it. So that was like my thought about the subject back then. And you know, whenever people bring up, you know, in Africa, you know, lions, I do remind them, you know, how many lions do you think exist today? And they think like, whoa, that's a good question. And I'm like, well, around 20,000. And they're like, what? Did we fuck up that planet that much? And how many animals do you think the food industry is killing and breeding? And they hear the number and they're like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
I give up this argument.
Right, but let's say in a world where the only suffering is coming from animals that are being eaten by other animals, that should be.
I think like I'm sorry, like I'm going to put like a fence, and the zebras are going to eat grass, and the lions are going to go and eat each other and go extinct.
Yeah,
Sadly,
or eat some,
I love them, but no. Maybe
I mean, we could make a vegetarian alternative.
We should definitely try. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm for, you know, making an intervention there.
Yeah.
And after the world becomes vegan, of course, you know, not before.
Yeah, I think definitely there is nothing moral with not doing that. I mean, it would be the most moral thing to do. After, yeah. So, this has been very nice to talk to you. I hope we can maybe talk again, make a part 2 of this this video. I have to go to bed, I think. And my wife is also getting up early tomorrow for work, so she's starting at 7. So, but thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and looking forward to making part 2, and maybe think, you know, what did we maybe we need to do the real street epistemology around government. I mean, you sound to me like you're almost there with on my side of the talk with anarchy. That I mean, you're accepting all the arguments for this and for that, and you're saying you really give it like the consideration. You think like, okay, well, maybe he's reasonable and he thought about it. So I mean, maybe just give you time and you come back and you're like, I'm an anarchist now. Sorry, I ruined it. You can't have a street epistemology would be about government because I'm an anarchist now.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
you ruined it. You
I'm
shouldn't
open.
have.
I'm open to the
You shouldn't
idea.
have such an open mind. No.
Yeah, let's see more about. Let's see what we can do about this.
Sure.
My views about it. So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you too.
For this discussion, and we keep in touch.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
I have a
Bye.
recording I'm gonna send you.
Nice.
Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.